Hey, welcome back to Afton Woodworks. I'm about to start a new project. This just showed up in the mail today from Etsy, and it is a wine barrel kit. You can buy wine barrel tables out on Etsy, but I found this kit which was reduced in price, and I thought, obviously I can put a table together. So we're going to do this, and really, when this showed up, I should have taken a picture of it. This is a real wine barrel top, and it had some of the ink markings on it. It's French oak, it's beautiful. I didn't want the ink markings on it from the manufacturer, so I took out my Rotex sander with some 80 grit, took that off, and then put it through the drum sander over there. And now what you see is some wonderful French oak flecking here. And what I'm going to do with this is actually engrave with my Shaper Origin over there and some epoxy. A Bible, a Christian hymn here that means something to me. And that's why I wanted all that text off of there. So follow me through this process. It should be interesting. Right now all I'm doing is getting the setup done. I'll double-sided tape that onto the table. I will make sure that everything is centered appropriately so that when we go to route this, it obviously turns out perfect, because that's what we want, right? So that's on there for now. It came with 4 legs. Here's 2 of them, 2 cross members, and that's something that should be pretty easy. I think the main thing here is getting that engraving, that routing done, fill it with epoxy, let that dry, sand it flush, and hopefully we have something kind of special. So follow me through the process. Thanks. Okay, welcome back. I've laid out some of the Shaper domino, what I call domino tape here. If you have problems with this, where it kind of, I should have saved it, where it kind of peels apart, and this works for masking tape, throw it in the microwave for about 7 to 10 seconds. That reactivates the glue, and then you can kind of get it back to a normal state here. So I've got a marker board here, and then I actually have the piece here. Obviously I'm going to be engraving here. The key to the domino shaper, or excuse me, for the Shaper Origin, is that you've got to have these 2 boards co-planed. So I have a 1/4 inch piece of masonite underneath a 3/4, brings us to 1 inch, quick math. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to scan this. So I'll be up here working on it. I'll be down here working on it. So I'm scanning all these dominoes, also getting an image of the workpiece. Finish that. It's taking all those pictures and stitching them together to get a virtual workspace. That takes a moment. Long moment, and there it is. So now I'm going to import what I just did, or the SVG. And this is a file that I actually got from a lady on Etsy for $3. So wonderful. So what I'm looking for here, I've got this anchored. Looking for this mark. Where is this mark? This is not a live camera, I took pictures, so there's the mark. I put the center of the piece on the physical mark that I have, and I think it's just a little too big looking at this. Here, I'll bring it over here so you can see. So here you can see on the screen, I've got the anchor point centered, and if I zoom in, you'll see I've got a little pencil mark. You can see the shadow there. So what I can do is I could scale this down. I think I'm going to do 18 inches. And that's length, so that should be good to go, 18 by 18. Now let's zoom in and kind of look at the edges. I think that looks pretty good. So let's place that. So that's now placed on there. Okay, so I've made my first couple cuts. You can see on the Shaper Origin, I'm doing a 1/16 bit. I am going at it at a 1/8 depth that on a first cut. That seems like it's working just fine. And I started a period here with an inside cut. I've got to clean that out with a pocket cut. And you can see here, I'm just trying to see all the placement down below. So my process here is I will use the 1/16 inch bit at an 1/8 inch. I got to make a decision whether I want to go deeper to lay the epoxy or if I'm comfortable. I'm probably going to be comfortable with an 1/8 inch depth of epoxy. And then I'll have to switch to a 1/32 bit to get some of these connections here. I'll have to do some of the pocketing. So this is going to take a long time, but I think it'll turn out nicely. Okay, I've done a lot of the engraving here, the routing, using a 1/16 inch bit. And like I said before, the script, there's some lines that are just so small that a 1/16 isn't going to pass down that corridor. So I'm going to have to switch out to 1/32 bit. And hopefully that will cover all this. It's going to take some time. But so far, it's turning out well. Let me show it to you, okay? So this is where we're at here thus far. So you can see here, like the hand, this, technically the H is connected, but it just couldn't make it. So hopefully the 1/32 will cover that. All right, so I'll switch it out, keep cutting, and show you what it looks like hopefully in about a half hour. Okay, so we're done cutting on the shaper with one little issue. Let me show it to you. Chris will show you on the paper. Right here, this line across gets so thin that even a 32nd of an inch bit couldn't travel that path. So it's supposed to connect here, go through here, and exit out and stop just short of this L. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to trick the system. I'm going to mark it as a 1/64th, which should make that line then accessible to cut. And I'll cut it with a 1/32 bit. I don't know. Let's see how this works. I don't want to screw this up. This is the very end. Okay, I am back from that tricky cut. And that little trick worked just fine. Basically, it created some triangles like, I don't know if I can get this small here. And we're getting so small here, I don't know that you'd ever notice anything. Where's my lens here? This became a triangle right here. And I just followed that path, So we are done routing this thing. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Famous hymn. And it turned out really well. That last little trick to get the A, let's bring you down here. That last little trick to get the A really works. So let me grab this. I've taken all the tape off. I've blown it out. And I think it looks really nice. To the point now where I don't know if I should fill this in with epoxy. It's kind of subtle, but yet it pops, right? So do I need to put epoxy in? Should I just sand it and finish it? One thing I need to work on is there were some staples here, and I didn't notice them, and I sanded them flush, right? So I have nothing to pull on. Decisions to be made, but I'm very happy with the artwork, the SVG that I bought, and how it performed in the routing on this French oak. Wonderful to work with. It's like white oak. I think it is probably white oak. And it just really was easy to cut. All right, more to come.